Look at that stringy cheese on there. You got those mushrooms, you got the pastry. It's light. It really is delicious. Hi, welcome to Backyard Chef. I'm Rick today. Mushroom quiche. Easy as that. Now, I'm using my own pastry. There's a link up here. Go make the fresh, no fail, rich pastry. Stick it in the fridge, let it cool down, take it out, and you're at the same stage I'm at now. So I'm using my own pastry, or you can use ready rolled that you buy in the supermarket. So all we need to do is roll out that pastry to match that tin. Now if you have a bottomless tin, superb. If you don't, well, you're going to have to use a tin like this. A little bit of flour on our surface, not much. A little bit of flour on our pastry, not much. And let's have that rolled out. There's going to be way too much pastry here. But not to worry, we just roll it back up, flatten it out, put it back in cling film, put it back in the fridge. Okay, more than enough. All we need to do is get that in here. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually leave over a crust on the top because it is going to catch on the top. So just get up your pastry, fold it back over. There we are, job done. Push it in nice and gently. Not hard this, is it? Very easy. So what we don't want, we don't need all that pastry on there, so let's just trim that off. I'm just going to leave that overhang on. Save that, we don't want to waste that. That is good pastry. Oh, that's our pastry flan base made already. Look at that, easy. Well, what we need to do is take a fork and just prick the bottom. Now this is going to stop it from puffing up. We don't want this to puff up even though we're going to blind bake it. I'm just going to go around the sides as well. So there's our pastry case, and we want to take some greaseproof paper or baking paper, give it a good screwing up, open it back up again, and then put it in our pastry. And what we're going to do, we're going to blind bake this, so we have to fill this for beans or baking beads or something like that. These are soybeans and they're going in there. Now I'm using one of these today. It's a halogen convection oven, okay? We should be able to see what's going on when we put that in there. I want to set this to about 350, 175. We want to be turning it on. Now of course you can put this in a preheated oven, but we don't have an oven here. We're going to use this oven. Now I've used one of these for an awful long time. I think they're fantastic. They are really useful if you do not have an oven. Really useful. I've made everything in there from pork pies to Yorkshire puddings, roast dinners, everything. Okay, so let's put our pastry in there. Put the lid back on. Now I'm going to blind bake this for about 20 minutes. After 20 minutes we're going to take out the beans and put back in there for another 10 minutes. So that will be our pastry blind baked, and then we can carry on with the next stage. Okay, while we're blind baking that, we're going to start off the mushrooms and the onion for our quiche. So we got an onion here. Now we want to fine dice the onion. Now fine dice it any which way you want. We'll just put that in a tub for now, whilst we fine dice the other half. That's our onions, one side. Clove of garlic. Give it a bashing. Give it a mincing. Mince it up. Now you can mince it as fine as you want, or you can just leave it in reasonable size pieces. Put that in with the onion, because we're going to actually fry those both together. Mushrooms. Give your mushrooms a wipe over. I'm not going to go through the process of wiping a mushroom. Wipe your mushrooms over or wash them, up to you, and we want to slice the mushrooms. So nice and easy. Don't rush, take that off, turn it over. Done. And then our sliced mushrooms we want to put in something. And I'm going to put them in here. So that's our mushrooms, our onions and garlic. All we need to do is get a pan on. A little bit of butter, get your butter in there, and a little bit of olive oil. So in the pan, our garlic and onions. Start sweating it down. Okay, to my onions, a pinch of dried thyme, a pinch of oregano. I always put my spices in now. You know, it gives them time to bloom up in there, rehydrate in there with the onions. Gives that flavour on the onions too. Smell already? Fantastic. In with our mushrooms. Start cooking them down in that pan there. Tiny amount of salt. See, some people like to put the salt and pepper in with the creamy mixture when they make the quiche, but if you put a little bit of salt in now, it draws out that fluid in there, out of the mushrooms, out of the onions as you're cooking. You can see in this pan, there's quite a lot of moisture now coming out of these mushrooms. And we actually want to cook that off a little bit, you know, we don't want all that moisture in there. If we have all that moisture in our pastry, the pastry bottom's going to be soggy. So just give it a cooking off. Let's get that evaporated out of there. There we are, look, moisture done. That is nicely cooked, ready to go in our quiche. So all we need to do now is turn off the flame. All we need to do is let this cool down while we crack on with the pastry in there. That's just pinged. Take out the beans and we'll put the pastry back in. Let's get that out of there. Take that out. And then we want to get these beans out of here. We don't need those in there now. They've done their little bit of a job. So we need to take those out and put those to one side. And then we need to put our pastry, which is looking quite nice, but the bottom's obviously not cooked up, back in there, back on for about 10 minutes. So all we're going to do is crust up, put a little bit of brown on the bottom of that pastry base. Whilst that's doing in there, a couple of eggs, crack a couple of eggs into our bowl. In with some cream, in with a little bit of freshly ground black pepper, and then all we're going to do is give that a bit of a whisking up. So all we got to do is wait for that pastry base. So let's just put that to one side, and we want to grate up some cheese. Now you can use whatever cheese you want. I'm going to use a little bit of grated Gouda, and I'll probably grate a little bit of cheddar. Okay, let's have that pastry case out of there. I mean, come on, just look how good that looks. So in the bottom with our mushroom and onion mixture. Okay, I've kept a couple of mushrooms in there. I'm going to try and get the mushrooms towards the top. Right, I'm going to go in there with just a little bit of this Gouda cheese. Get the Gouda in there, that's going to melt up in there. And a little bit of cheddar, and then we're going to tip over our egg cream mixture nice and gently, and then we're going to go over the top of there with just a little bit more cheese. Now I've retained some mushrooms, like I say, and what I want to do is I want to get a couple of mushrooms sitting on the top. Now, I don't think for a minute that they're going to be showing. I think what will probably happen is everything will puff up around the mushrooms. But if they're on there, that will be fantastic. We'll be able to see that it's a mushroom pie. A little sprinkling over of black pepper. And that is going to go back in the oven for 30 minutes. Up we go. Oven back on. It's on for 30 minutes. Should be okay. Oh, just look at that. Now that looks absolutely superb. That looks fantastic. All we got to do now, it's going to sink a little bit, I think, like all quiches, you know, they puff up and then they sink a little bit. That is red hot. We're going to have to let it cool down before we can cut a slice. Look at that. So the only thing we've got to do, you remember that pastry lip we had on there? We left it on there on purpose. All we've got to do now is just trim round this pie. Just trim off that pastry lip nice and steady round there. Oh, let's cut a slice of this. Oh, look at that. Oh, that looks fantastic. Oh, that is awesome. You got that stringy cheese. Look at that stringy cheese on there. You got those mushrooms, you got the pastry. Oh, it's light. It really is delicious. The only thing I would say, don't use a tin like I did with no loose bottom. I can tell you now, turning it over and shaking it to get it out was not any fun. On a loose bottom tin, you just put it over something and out it pops. But that mushroom quiche is absolutely fantastic. That is well worth the effort. Now, if you like what we're doing, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe, share with your friends, all that kind of stuff. Catch you in the next video.